Have you ever looked at a project and wondered how some of them just finish on time, like clockwork, while others seem to fall into a black hole of delays? Well, I'm here to tell you, it's not magic, it's a method, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and master one of the most powerful tools out there, the critical path method. This quote really hits the nail on the head because it's the perfect way to think about it. Just like your own heart, the critical path sets the pulse for your entire project. It's the lifeblood of your timeline. If that path gets blocked or delayed, the whole project flatlines. It is that important. Okay, so we're calling it the project's heartbeats, but what does that actually mean? Let's get right into it. And trust me, it's way more straightforward than it sounds. The one phrase you really need to remember here is the longest sequence. You see, any project is going to have a bunch of different ways you can connect the dots, right? Different sequences of tasks to get from start to finish. The critical path is simply the longest one. And that's what's so crucial, because it tells you the absolute rock-bottom minimum time to get the job done. Any delay on this specific path, and I mean any delay, pushes your whole deadline back. There's zero wiggle room. Now, this isn't just some boring theory for a textbook. Seriously. Figuring out your critical path, it's like unlocking a superpower for your project. It gives you this incredible focus, this amazing control. It's almost like you can see into the future and spot problems before they even happen. And what does that superpower do? Well, here's the deal. Suddenly, you know exactly where you need to be putting all your energy. You can make sure your best people, your best resources are on the tasks that actually move the needle. You stop getting blindsided by those awful last-minute surprises. And get this, if someone asks you to speed things up, you know exactly which tasks to target. It makes talking to your stakeholders a breeze, and it even helps you find some wiggle room you never knew you had.
All right, enough with the theory, right? Let's make this real. We're going to walk through a super simple example, building a small piece of software, and we're going to find that critical path together, step by step.
So here's our project laid out. Pretty simple. We've got 6 main tasks, A through F. You can see how long each one takes, and this is key, what it depends on. So for instance, you can't even think about starting task B until A is totally done. And check out task F at the end. It's the big finale, and it needs both D and E to be finished before it can kick off. All right, so if you look at that chart, you can see there are a couple of different routes to get from the very beginning all the way to task F. Our mission right now is to trace those paths and figure out which one is the longest. This is where we find that heartbeat we were talking about. Okay, let's look at the first possible route. We go from A to B, then from B to D, and finally we wrap it all up with F, a nice, clean, logical sequence of tasks. So let's add it up. We've got 3 days for A, plus 4 for B, 5 for D, and 2 for F. A little quick math, and that comes out to 14 days. Okay, lock that number in your head, 14. But hang on, that wasn't the only way to get to the end, was it? There's another path we could take. We could go from A to C, then over to E, and then finish up with F. Let's see what that one looks like. Time for more math. So, 3 days for A, 2 for C, 3 for E, and 2 for F. Add them all up, and we get 10 days. Whoa, that's a pretty big difference, right? And right there, that is the aha moment. Path 1 is 14 days. Path 2 is only 10. And remember the definition? The critical path is always the longest path. So path 1 is it. That's our critical path. This tells us our project is going to take at a minimum 14 days. And if any of those tasks, A, B, D, or F, are even 1 day late, the whole project is 1 day late. Okay, so what about that shorter path, the 10-day one? Is it useless? Not at all. In fact, the difference between that path and our critical path, well, that's where we find our secret weapon. It's called flexibility. In project management, we call this flexibility float or slack. I like to think of it as pure, beautiful wiggle room. It's the amount of time a task can be delayed without messing up your final project deadline one bit. And figuring it out is super easy. You just take the critical path, 14 days, and subtract the shorter path, 10 days. Boom. That gives you 4 days of float. That's 4 days of breathing room on that second path. How cool is that? So let's put this all together in a nice little table. You can see it clear as day. Tasks A, B, D, and F are on the critical path, which means
They have zero float, zilch. They absolutely cannot be late. But then you look at C and E, and there it is, 4 days of float for each of them. That means they could be delayed up to 4 full days, and our project would still finish on time. That is powerful information.
So, what's the point of all this? What do you do with this knowledge? You turn it into your action plan, your game plan. You now know exactly where to put your focus to steer this project home safely and on time. Here's how you play it. First, you watch tasks A, B, D, and F like a hawk. They are your #1 priority. Second, you can now manage your resources like a pro. Let's say task D on the critical path starts to slip. No problem. You can borrow a person from task E because you know E has a 4-day buffer. Third, you can talk to your boss and your clients with total confidence because you know where the real risks are. And finally, if they say, we need this done faster, you don't waste a second trying to speed up C or E. You know you have to focus only on the critical path.
So, you see, the critical path isn't just some abstract line on a chart. It's a whole new lens for looking at your project. It shows you the dangers, but it also shows you the opportunities. It really is the true path to finishing on time. Now that you've got the method down, I've got a question for you. What's the hidden critical path in your project? The one you haven't seen until now?